I would like to call to order the October, I can't believe it's October, thank you, second, Suffolk Central School District Board of Education meeting. Need a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of, the chair would entertain a motion to go into executive session for the purposes of reviewing with superintendent of schools and assistant superintendent for instruction, information pertaining to staff member being recommended for tenure. 2, reviewing situation concerning vacancy and position of district clerk. It is a situation. 3, reviewing with attorney for Board of Education legal issues pertaining to creation of administrator hiring committee. 4, reviewing with superintendent of schools status of vacancy and position of assistant superintendent for human resources. 5, reviewing with superintendent of schools status of position of interim assistant superintendent for human resources. 6, reviewing with superintendent of schools and attorney for Board of Education status of and legal issues pertaining to vacancy and position of employee benefits clerk types. 7, reviewing with superintendent of schools and attorney for Board of Education proposed memorandum of agreement with Suffolk Educators Association concerning athletic trainer, assistant athletic trainer. 8, reviewing with the superintendent of schools and attorney for Board of Education legal issues pertaining to communication from State Education Department pertaining to non-public school students. 9, reviewing with attorney for Board of Education legal issues pertaining to pending legislation pertaining to the assessment of utility properties. 10, reviewing with superintendent of schools and attorney for Board of Education legal issues pertaining to possible creation of director of school facilities position. 11, reviewing with superintendent of schools and attorney for Board of Education legal issues pertaining to extension of probationary term of teaching assistant. 12, reviewing with superintendent of schools and attorney for Board of Education proposed employment agreement with physical therapist. 13, reviewing with attorney for Board of Education status of federal litigation concerning allegations of bullying. Motion, please.
Move.
Thanks, Ms. Reamer.
Second.
Thanks, Mr. Kern. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The Central School District Board of Education on October 2nd, 2018, back in order. Let the record reflect all members of the Board of Education are present. We're also joined by Ms. Lee Weber, Ms. Teresa Isolde, Ms. Heather Campbell, and our attorney, Mr. Stephen Fromson. Thank you for being here. We would like to stand for the pledge.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We start by our favorite part of the meeting, our student report. Alex, you're a senior, right?
Yes.
Thank you for being here.
Good evening, everyone. As some of you may know, last week was Spirit Week at the high school, our biggest event of the year. The seniors won the Spirit Cup after beating the juniors at the pep rally. We also had large fathead signs of Dr. Truss and Mr. Green. You might have seen them on the Instagram account. Tomorrow night is Meet the Teacher Night at 7 p.m. For parents of freshmen, it begins at 6 p.m. to go over what their child can expect at Suffolk High School. Our 11th grade guidance assembly is this Friday, where the guidance counselors will go over the college application process with the juniors. SAT exams will be held at the high school at 8 o'clock, 8 o'clock a.m. this Saturday. I have to take one, I'm not too excited about that. Next Saturday, October 13th, the PSAT will be held at the high school. Lastly, next Thursday, the boys volleyball team, which I am a part of, will have a pink game at home versus Clarkstown South. A former player's mother was recently diagnosed with breast cancer, so we will be selling T-shirts in the school leading up to the game to raise money for her. And that's all we have now from the high school.
I'm sorry, what day is that?
Sorry?
What day is the game?
The 11th.
Thank you.
Thursday, the 11th. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Alex, I do have a question for you.
When I saw you on Friday, I thought Maddie was going to be here tonight.
No, I know it was like an audible. Like,
Oh,
her game was canceled, so.
Her game was
Her
canceled,
game
but
was
she should
canceled, I
have.
know, but like, she's like, had to go home afterwards.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you for stepping up.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, we would like a motion to accept the minutes of 3 meetings. We probably should do them individually because we were missing board members. So we'll start with minutes of the regular meeting of September 4th. We can have a motion to accept the minutes, please. Mr. McKenzie,
Second.
Mr. Curran. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you, they've been adopted, and now we can change them from a draft to a final. Minutes of regular meeting of September 17th, we need a motion.
Moved.
Ms. Reamer, second. Mr. Curran. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Minutes are adopted. Minutes of the emergency meeting of September 21st, 2018. Need a motion. Mr. Cairns. Second.
Second.
Mr. McKenzie. And there will be some abstains on this one. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Donnelly. Mr. McKenzie, Ms. Reamer, and myself. All those abstaining,
Abstain.
Mr. Shapiro and Mr. Kern. Any nays? None. The minutes are adopted. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. It has to, otherwise it won't. Okay, very good. So we now move to our public participation on only action items. The total duration of public participation is 30 minutes with 3 minutes for each person. Please refrain. You're so nice. Superintendent comments, sorry.
Just to follow up on what Alex was talking about with Spirit Week last week, I had the privilege of going to the high school a couple of times and got to see the juniors and seniors compete. And it's so delightful to watch our students participate. You know, they're competitive, they're diving, they're pulling on the rope, they're doing all sorts of things. But when it was all over, they were all Mounties, and that was really nice to see. It was reported to me that they had no problems, and for a high school our size, for the entire week not to have a problem, I think that breaks a record for us. And then my understanding from the dance on Saturday night, with nearly 900 students attending, or maybe it was 960. I don't remember what the final count was. There was not an incident reported to me. And that's not to say that kids may not have done something, but at least the administration, what was reported to me, very well behaved. And it's a testament to our students and our staff, how our kids just do a great job. And then the staff modeling that for them, it was really a lot of fun to watch them compete. Mr. Shapiro had accompanied me over to the high school that afternoon, and kids were entertaining. I think probably the biggest kid in the senior class wore a tutu.
Nothing wrong with that.
He looked quite graceful out there with the tug of war. But
I've been back on that farm. He's not a graceful, but he did look cute.
and then some of the nicknames that were on the kids' shirts. I found one that was named Chip, and a few others that had different nicknames, but they were all respectful, and they were really good about it. They get in each other's face after the competition, each one, but it was all in good-natured fun, and it was just refreshing to see so many people come together and do so in a respectful, civil, and fun way. So thank you to the students that were there and to all of the students.
back to the next segment is public participation on action items only, and what we were stating is no discussion of specific concerns regarding individual district personnel or students should be discussed publicly. These should be addressed directly to the superintendent of schools during regular business hours, and also please address all remarks to the board president. And please come to the mic and introduce yourself with your name and affiliation to the district. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Andrew. I'm sure you can hear this, but no, I don't speak loud enough so you can hear me. My name is Andrew Dale. I have 2 children in the school district. I'm here today to just to have a brief question about 2.09, which is the BOCES final contract for services. I'd like to start with, because this is going to be very, it's going to be easy for people to kind of misconstrue where I'm going with this. BOCES provides the most wonderful services in the world. My children are blessed to have everybody that they have, all the teachers that they have from BOCES. There's no issue with BOCES at all. They provide wonderful services, and they should be commended for every single thing that they do. But when I'm looking at the contract, and it just seems like there's a whole lot of legalese here in the contract, I'm assuming that when we have a contract with BOCES for almost $15 million, that it gets reviewed by our legal team here in the district. And I would assume that BOCES would also review that contract on their side as well, because we're both entering into an agreement. But the issue that I have is that the legal counsel for BOCES and the legal counsels for the Suffolk Central School District is the same person, to the best of my knowledge. So if there's an issue with the contract and we want to protect the teachers and we want to protect the students and we want to protect the taxpayers, and an issue arises, how does that issue get addressed without a major conflict of interest? So I'm not asking you not to vote on that. I mean, listen, we can't not vote on it. Our kids need the services. The teachers, like I said, they deserve everything that they get. That's not the question. But the question is, when there is a conflict, if there is a conflict, and we just cross our fingers and hope that there's not one, or if there is one, how does that get settled if we have the same person on both sides of the transaction that was reviewing it, and then it has to be the person that has to figure out the whole mess afterwards. So I just wanted to bring that up as something that we might want to look at in the future, because obviously we want to look out for our teachers, we want to look out for our children, we want to look out for the taxpayers, and if there is an issue that arises, it shouldn't be at that point that we have, to try and figure that situation out. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing that there are no further comments, we will close this segment of the agenda, and we will proceed to our action items. We will ask each individual board member to let the board president know what action items they're planning, if any. Ms. Reamer?
2.02, 2.04, and 2.07.
Anyone else? Okay, that's pending questions, right?
Yes.
So the chair would entertain a motion to adopt 2.01, 2.03, 2.05 and 6, 2.08 through 2.13 as a consent agenda. We need a motion. Mr. McKenzie? Second?
Second.
Mr. Shapiro? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those against? None? Any abstains? I'm doing well. So we're going 2.02 for discussion. We need a motion on the floor to pass 2.02. second? Any discussion?
Thank you so much, Matt. Thank you. 2.02 is a memorandum of agreement for the Suffolk Educators Association from Adam. I read over the memorandum of agreement, and I had a question that was answered, and I just want to pose it for everybody else on the board. They talked about that the person was going to get paid stipend N and also stipend L. And my question was, is it normal to have the athletic person be the assistant athletic person and the regular athletic, I forgot the name of the trainer. Thank you, athletic trainer. So it was going to be one person who was the athletic trainer and then the assistant athletic trainer. So I just wanted to make sure that, do we need one person to do both jobs? Do you want them to be separate people? So I wasn't really, I really didn't know how it worked. So I asked Dr. Adams to explain it.
Okay, we do have two different trainers. We have the head athletic trainer and the assistant athletic trainer. The head athletic trainer is weighted at N, the assistant is weighted at L. And tonight the board, by approving 2.01, I believe it was 2.01, you approved the assistant athletic trainer, which is weighted at L. So that was approved tonight. But beginning on August 13th, when our fall team started to come back for practice, we needed to have a trainer every day of the week. And normally it's divided up where the head trainer is one day and then the assistant is the other day, for the most part, but not entirely. So the head trainer ended up doing his responsibilities and then picked up for the assistant trainer. So instead of asking to be paid at the higher rate of N, he's being paid at the rate of L, which is a lower rate, to compensate him for the time that he put in. Now, when we hit certain seasons or certain times of the year and there's makeup games, the head trainer and the assistant trainer both may be working Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. But I don't know, does that kind of explain why we needed this MOA? Because he was doing two jobs for a couple months. But after tonight, we're fixed.
Thank you.
Okay, so on 2.02, we would like to, we have a motion on the floor and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those against? Any abstains? None. Thank you. Moved. 2.04, need a motion on the floor to adopt. Thank you. Second. Mr. McKenzie. Discussion.
When I got this is another memorandum of agreement for a physical therapist, and I was just asking, is this a standard agreement for all physical therapists? And Dr. Adams explained it, which was good for me, but I wanted him to explain it to everybody else as well.
Thank you.
Okay, this is a position that over the last 2 years in particular, the needs of our students have grown to the point where we believe that we needed to have a full-time physical therapist. Previously, we had contracted with BOCES, and we're kind of subject to the schedule that BOCES, we're not the only school district, so sometimes we ran into scheduling conflicts with kids' physical therapy needs. And so last year we kind of experimented with it, and then this year, based upon all of the information going in, we needed to have this person full-time. This person is not covered under any of the other collective bargaining agreements, so in order to hire her, we would have to have a separate agreement. And the compensation that was arrived at seemed to be pretty reasonable from her perspective, and it was beneficial to the school district when we compared it to what we were paying BOCES in the past. So it's a good agreement for our school district. And it gives us additional flexibility to meet students' needs. Yes.
Any further questions? None? Okay, being there are no further questions, we will ask for those in favor to signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those against? Any abstains? Moved. Thank you. And this concludes our action items. We do?
One more.
207, sorry. I thought it was- Pardon me. Okay, we need a motion to adopt 207 as stated. Mr. Curran, second. Mr. McKenzie. Discussion.
At the last meeting, at the meeting before, this was on the agenda and it was tabled. I didn't have the information. I had looked at the treasury report, and the treasurer's report had a difference between June of 2018 and June of 2017 report. And there was a $3 million difference in the expenditures with the disbursements. Teresa Isolde was nice enough to go through and explain stuff to me of what was off. One of it was, correct me if I'm wrong, 1.8 million for employee benefits that went to the employee reserve fund, as well as. Oh, go ahead. Okay, go for it.
So what I want to say though, with the disbursements, I think the first sheet of that treasury report, some of that is monthly and some is year to date. As you go through the report, you can see that disbursements amount is a cash number. So you're going to see a lot of differences depending on timing. For example, you're going to, like you see this reserve transfer, or we'll transfer money, any kind of transfer from the general fund. So it might go to pay special fund, a special aid fund, or capital fund when we have like 700,000 that gets transferred. You're going to see cash transfers all the time. So I think in the future, the best way to look at it is really the monthly financial numbers that show you year-to-date numbers there, which actually are expenditures. So all I'm saying is the disbursements are kind of, they're not exactly the expenditures all the time because we have these transfers from fund to fund. But basically the difference was that transfer from the reserve to the reserve. We didn't have somebody in HR for benefits to approve the billings. So we had to have 2 actual payments in June versus 1 in May and 1 in June. We also had every year and basically around, depending on how much raises are, June's always a high month because we have the triple checks. We have about $600,000 difference in salaries from year to year. And I was trying to say that sometimes more people take triple checks and it might be more cash that's dispersed. We had more retirees last year, so that was part of that number. But we did have other things, like we had, the year before we had duplicate payments of Chestnut Creek bills that came in. It's timing a lot of times. It's nothing unusual. I mean, we're $3 million. It's well within our budget, so it wasn't anything big. So I think there was a little confusion when I was listening to things. There were some people that thought it was July, and we only spent about $1 million in July. So $3 million, although, it's explainable. Hopefully everybody got the answers they wanted.
So I just want to understand, Teresa, that means that it reflected multiple months and not just one month. It looks like a month, but some of it.
Well, it reflected multiple monthly expenditures. And it's always, this year was very easy to see because it was that big payment. We paid like 1.7 a month for health insurance. But sometimes it's smaller and it's not easy to say. So, but I just think that it's just a little easier to look at expense to expense because there's disbursements, because it's really cash flow, can be a little misleading. Okay?
Thank you.
Yep, good.
Being that there are no further questions, we are ready to act on 2.07. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those against? Any abstains? 2.07 is abstained. Now, we can finally move over to our information items. We have 3 information items on the agenda. The first one is the audit committee report. That would be Ms. Reamer.
We met on yesterday at 7:30 here. The audit committee had about 4 discussion items. We discussed the New York State Controller's report as well as the audited financial statements. And they basically, even though one was 01 and one was 04, they basically went hand in hand together because we were talking about the reserves. And as we just stated, that there was another 1.8 that went to the reserves for employee benefits. I had noticed when I read the New York State Controller's report that they had dinged the school district for having too much reserves for tax certiorari's. So when we met as the audit committee, we went through it to look at all of those reserves. There are certain things that we're going to ask for from the business office to get more comfortable and figure out what we're going to do. We also discussed the monthly reporting for the Board of Education members, where we want to see the monthly report, even if we're going to look at expenditures year to date, if we can see it from one month, say June to June. So if we can see those like comparing.
As part of the treasurer's report?
As part of it or as a supplement to it. So that we can just see it, so that we can see, where we are year to date for that month, and we can see it month to month. So if there's any outliers, we'll ask.
Someone like to speak here. I just, let me know what you want to see in the reports and expenditures and budget. Please let me know exactly what you want.
Absolutely. Thank you, Teresa. And the last thing that we discussed was tuition rates. Those are for non-resident tuition rates. And we just discussed that. And we're going to do some brainstorming and waiting for the strategic planning committee to get together and discuss that as well, because that goes between the audit committee and the strategic planning committee. That was about it. Then we adjourned at 9:03.
Thank you for the report, and if just as general rules, our committees are either committees of the whole or a 3-member committee. Committees don't make decisions in themselves. They have to make a recommendation to the entire board, and any decisions or requests need to be made by the full board, just to clarify. So any recommendations, you bring them in your report as such, and then we would, decide to go ahead or how to move forward, just to clarify, okay? The next report is actually myself. I represented our school board at the Rockland County School Boards Association meeting on Monday last week. And the meeting was on September 24th at the Rockland BOCES in Nyack. Aside from really great feedback from all boards of education across the county of Rockland, which is always a great dialogue and always very beneficial, there is a focus, obviously, in preparation for the New York State School Board Association Convention, which is coming up October 25th to the 27th. In preparation for that, the next Rockland County School Board meeting is on the 15th of October. It's a Monday evening, and I recommend as many board members to attend that meeting. It doesn't have to be only the delegate, especially members who are planning to attend the convention, because they will have someone coming from NYSSBA to speak to all the resolutions that are going to be on the floor at this year's convention. It's very important to educate ourselves about these resolutions and form a collective opinion so that the delegate votes the voice of the board and not their own. So I recommend at least those attending convention, but everyone else to make it Monday evening. It's going to be at 6 p.m. Someone from the legislature department of NYSSBA will be going to answer questions and address the resolutions for this year. And that's it for Rockland County School Board. Dr. Adams and Dr. Castaldo encouraged me to attend, encouraged all board members, but I happen to be the only one to attend this Yale Center for Emotional Intelligence presentation at the Putnam Northern Westchester BOCES also last week, regarding emotional intelligence, a very interesting topic. And our teachers and principals have been attending these workshops prior to board members being invited to go in for the evening. And we would love to have some presentation to board members about emotional intelligence and that Yale program, which I found very interesting and very, very helpful. So Dr. Adams thinks it would be a good idea to bring it in.
Yes, we have about 35 teachers and administrators being trained right now, and what the goal is for the first years have a core group of teachers and administrators trained, and then we'll roll it out to the students in subsequent years. And although I was not able to attend Thursday during the day, what came back to me from an administrator and from a couple of teachers was that sometimes as soon as a workshop is over, everybody's in a hurry to get back across the bridge or to get home or to do a myriad of other things. But in this case, many of our teachers stayed and they worked in their groups. They said, this is really important work and we want to make sure that we're doing a good job and we understand this. And it's a real testament to our teachers. They're committed to this. And in so doing, they're expressing their commitment to our students. So I was, although I didn't see it personally, I was very touched by the effort and enthusiasm that was reported back to me about our teachers. None of the other teachers stayed. Our teachers stayed. So I thought that was great. And we will have a report by Dr. Castaldo and company later on this fall.
Great, perfect. I just would love for everyone to be exposed to the concept. It's very interesting and extremely positive, and we can do a lot of it in our district here. I would love to see our whole district apply it. The next report is regarding the Administrative Hiring Committee report. The report met for its first meeting on Friday, September 28th, here in the Administrative Building. The committee met with Superintendent Dr. Douglas Adams and reviewed the following. To begin with, the committee established goals and a mission, which was an important part to start the work, namely to support the administration in completing search processes for district leadership positions, leading to a successful recommendation by the superintendent to the Board of Education. That's the goal. Also to provide clarity and regular feedback regarding the qualifications sought and the board's role in the process in collaboration with district administration and staff. A committee will provide the scheduling flexibility, more timely information, sharing between the administration and the Board of Ed, and avoid extending board meetings to very long times. That's why we were almost on time today, coming to public session. And aside from that, we discussed, the administration reported that the position of Assistant Superintendent for HR has been posted again externally, and the administration recommended that it gets posted in the New York Times to give it a more national exposure, and the board approved that. And simultaneously with the New York Times posting that provides the OES posting, the deadline for this second round is October 12th. Dr. Adams was going to also look at other venues. He recommended Education Week magazine, so we'll follow up on that with him. The committee discussed ways to support the district's HR office in the meantime, and we're doing exactly that. And the Board of Education has approved 2 additional positions, as well as continued support to the office and possibly either interim services that Dr. Adams is working on. Required certifications and experience were also discussed and confirmed. And finally, we concluded the public part of the meeting and went into an executive portion in order to just review a few identifiable applicants. The committee pulled, I think, just less than a handful of applications to get feedback from Superintendent Dr. Adams. The committee looks forward to this continued collaboration between the Board of Education and the administration with the best candidates identified for our Suffolk Central School District. So we look forward to continued collaboration. Discussion item 4.01, according to board member requests, will be tabled to the next meeting. Public participation on non-agenda items.
My name is Melissa Hess-Gilardi, and I have 2 children in the district. Today was the second time in recent months that I saw a complaint by a parent about district-related issues on Facebook. In both cases, the parents said that they had reached out multiple times to the district but had gotten no response to their queries. They've gotten no response at all until they posted publicly on social media. And in both cases, the parents then said that they were chastised by the district employees for making the post instead of dealing privately with the issue within the district. There were no district employees named, and there was no details to back up the characterization of the chastising. So, though I find that disturbing, I'm making no judgment on whether or not that actually happened. However, I think it's important that we recognize that there is a perception out there that our district prioritizes privacy over addressing parents' concerns. More concerning to me is the reprise of a point I and many other parents have brought to your attention before, and that is the lack of a response to community's concerns. We trust the district with our most precious possessions, our children, for most of the day, every day. Communication goes a long way towards rebuilding trust and cooperation between the community and the administration. And I ask you to please renew and redouble your efforts to respond to the community when we reach out for questions and problems. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional comments?
Good evening. My name is Dan McGrath. I have a 3rd grader at R.P. Connor Elementary, and I'm here today for the second time regarding the lack of adequate security at R.P. Connor Elementary after daily dismissal. As parents, we're very fortunate that our schools offer various not-for-profit programs for our children. After-school enrichment programs, school plays, Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, YMCA aftercare programs for working parents. These programs and activities allow anywhere from 50 to 160 or more children to participate between dismissal and as late as 8:30 p.m. on any given night. Last spring, before the Parkland school shootings, the front doors to our school were left open after dismissal, and parents could collect their children at will. In light of those horrific events, we asked that additional security be provided after school while these programs were taking place. Thankfully, the next day, our principal locked the doors, but this has led to various additional logistical and security issues. The YMCA has had to put a makeshift program in place. The school play and after-school programs have to have a teacher or parent chaperone leave the program to open the doors for parents to collect their children. The new locked doors policy just doesn't work. It doesn't do enough. There's no security after the last bus has left the school property. My wife reached out to the principal last spring regarding this matter. She was referred to Mrs. Isolde, I hope I'm saying that right. My wife then reached out to Mrs. Isolde and explained our concerns, not just for the children of the YMCA, but for all the children partaking in after-school programs. Luckily, Mrs. Isolde did reply, but in my opinion, she seemed to be punting the responsibility over to the YMCA. The reality is, we need a trained security guard on property while any of our children, teachers, or parents are in the building. Not just during school hours, but after school, because the programs that are offered are vital to the success of our children. They're being run in buildings that aren't safe. I come to you today as leaders, parents, and decision makers to please put the proper security in place so all of our children are safe whenever they're in the building. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional comments? Yes.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Mary Grace Bacchiano Kelly. I am here this evening because my child goes to Salisbury Elementary. He's a kindergartner, and in the afternoons, I have problems with busing. I do not have a daycare in Sloatsburg. My daycare is actually in Hilburn. I've subsequently had to hire someone in order to drive my child from Sloatsburg to Hilburn when there are 2 buses that go to Hilburn. I've reached out, I've filled out the documents, and spoke to the transportation individual. It was not settled. What she had suggested is that I utilize the after-school program that Sloatsburg Elementary has. That would be wonderful, but unfortunately, my work hours don't comply to those, that school. I used to utilize a daycare in New Jersey, which stayed open until 7 p.m., but I was also told that my child could not go to that daycare because that was out of state. So I'm here this evening to ask for guidance in order to have my child bused from Sloatsburg to Hilburn versus my having to take out of pocket and pay someone where he could go to his grandparents' house where he could stay until whatever hour of the evening that I need him to stay.
Thank you, Ms. Kelly. Please address the Board of Education and the administration by email.
I have.
As we won't be able to resolve.
Understood, but I have sent an email to you all,
Yeah.
and it was responded to, not what I had expected, let's put it that way.
So
send it
follow
directly?
up. Follow up.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Any additional comments? They're doing now. Do you just need signatures or somebody's getting to the line? You look young.
My daughter graduated 2 years ago. I do have 2 kids in the district. Also did with something very similar.
Your
My
name?
son goes to Sloatsburg.
Your name?
Oh, I'm sorry. Susan Starr.
What's the last name?
Starr, S-T-A-R-R.
Thank you.
My son goes to Sloatsburg. We live in Hilburn. My older daughter, I brought to Sloatsburg, in which the district agreed that when he started kindergarten, he can go to Sloatsburg. Mainly because, A, she went to Sloatsburg, but that the bus had to come into Hilburn. As she stated, 2 buses come into Hilburn, one of which is right down the street from my house. Right now, my son is borderline needing IEP, which I'm trying to avoid. Being unable to transport him in the mornings.
I'm just gonna stop.
Yeah, go ahead.
As is my job, just we can't discuss the student or the child in public. But we're more than happy to read the details, so just keep it general if you may,
Sure,
without.
yes, okay, I'm just trying to avoid IEP so he can get to Sloatsburg in the mornings. Or otherwise being forced to change school.
Do you have the email to the bus
Yes.
department? Bus department?
Transportation.
Ms. Gessner, yeah, transportation.
Yes,
And feel free to copy the board and Dr. Adams.
I will.
Thank you. Any additional comments? Okay, being that I see none, we will close this segment of the meeting, and we will move again to superintendent closing comments.
As alluded to earlier, we're working on a Yale EI presentation, and we've been working on a school security workshop, which we had hoped to have ready for October 16th. In meeting with the person responsible for coordinating that, she told me today that she's probably not going to be able to meet that deadline and asked permission to push it back to the November 6th meeting. So I'll keep the board updated. We'll try to get it for October 16th, but right now the timing's such, I'm not sure that we're going to be able to get that done, so it will be pushed back to November 6th. Like I said, I'll keep you apprised of the status of that. In terms of the Administrative Hiring Committee, the one thing that was clarified for me was that the recommendation for the Assistant Superintendent for HR has to have human resources administrative experience in a human resources position. and that was maybe a source of confusion for the first search, but it's been made very clear that it can't be just a principal or an assistant principal. It has, the person, the candidate that's brought forward must have human resources administrative experience in a human resources position. So I appreciate the committee in clarifying that for me.
Thank you, Dr. Adams, and thanks for your work with the committee to giving us your feedback on even just a couple of applicants was very enlightening. I think it was a really good experience for all of us to see that, you know, the committee kind of pulled out, you know, ones that stood out to them, and they had stood out to you as well, and then you shared your thoughts, which was very, very helpful, and we look forward to supporting the administration in this process and coming up with a great outcome for Suffern Central. I would like a motion to adjourn the meeting. Mr. McKenzie, second. Mr. Cairns, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Against, none. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.